All right, everyone. MTL Sports Podcast here, episode 86. We're going to get started here. NFC East. 2 more divisions left. We hit the NFC East tonight. Cowboys, Commanders, Eagles, NY Giants. We'll go over those, recap their seasons, how they're going to look going forward. Plus, we got some play-in action. Play-in, I believe, starts tomorrow, Tuesday. So we'll preview those games Tuesday and Wednesday. Let you guys know our thoughts, all that good stuff. And with all that being said, guys, stay tuned. We're back. NFL action. We're still in the off season, but we still got some divisions to cover. NFC East. Some would say it's the best division in the NFC. Some would say otherwise. But we got some teams in here that some had some good seasons, and 2 other teams had pretty mediocre to bad seasons. So we're just going to recap the seasons like we've been doing, and then we're going to, talk about the offseason a little bit, how they're going to look moving forward. Drafts in a couple weeks, so we'll leave that to consideration as well. So first team up. Let me pull up good old handy dandy ESPN. ESPN's been our good friend for the past couple of weeks, right? NFL action. Caitlin Clark just got drafted officially, going to Indiana Fever. 34 of her games are being nationally televised. It's insane, bro. But
well, they gotta finally start showing women's sports on TV.
I love to see it. But back on track. NFC East. Let's start with the winners, the Cowboys.
Cowboys.
Jerry Jones' team, America's team, all that good stuff. Won the division last year. Eagles won it 2 years ago. Don't think there's been a back-to-back division winner in this division for quite a while. I guess to start with the season, how was their season, Lawrence, overall regular season, plus their postseason blunder, getting their ass kicked
C-
by some young guns? C-. And your reasoning?
Okay, so the regular season was definitely like a B+. One division, could have done a little better, could have had a little bit more.
I agree.
But then you fell for the same curse you do every single season. You lose in the first round. And it wasn't that you just lost in the first round. If you'd lost in the first round in like a competitive match, I would have stayed at a B. The season was a B. Nah, you got murdered at home to a team whose offense was pretty much under the age of 12. They're all rookies pretty much. They were, the quarterback was technically not a rookie, but it was his first real season. All the wide receivers were pretty much rooks. Only one of them wasn't. I think it was Watson. I don't know if you really count that. But anywho, they're all young, and you got murdered. And okay, you can say, the score wasn't that bad. Okay, but the Packers punted the ball one time the whole game. And that was in the fourth quarter. Okay, you got murdered. And that's why your whole season comes down to a C-. Because it doesn't matter what you do in the regular season. Like I said, you can have an A+ regular season, but you get your ass handed to you in the first round by a team who people didn't think was going to be there like 4 weeks from the end of the season, 5 weeks from the end of the season. And then they're teeter-tottering. They changed their season around at Thanksgiving, beating the Lions. You guys had to get the refs to carry you, and had to get the refs to help you beat the Lions. So they handled the Lions. You couldn't barely beat the Lions without the refs. So for that reasoning, and completely that reasoning, I'm giving it a C-, only because it doesn't matter what happens in the regular season. You had a good regular season. It was a B+. You could have done a little better. You could have done things that, I'm not going to be hurt too much. You had a good regular season, B+. You get a C- because you pretty much failed your final exam, which was the playoffs.
Yeah, I can't agree anymore. C- for me. Regular season for me was a B. They can barely beat teams with a winning record. I think they only beat the Dolphins and the Lions. They beat the teams they were supposed to beat. Of course, they're beating up on the bad teams. That's what
Technically, they beat. No, did they beat Seattle or did Seattle beat them?
they beat. I think they did beat Seattle, didn't they?
Yeah, so Seattle. So they beat three ranked team or three
Teams over 500.
But yeah, Seattle is still in. Did they even make the playoffs? No, they didn't make the playoffs.
No, they didn't.
So yeah.
Yeah. So they beat the teams they're supposed to beat, and they beat them up, and everyone's glorifying them boys. Them boys, it's their year. All that talk starts going on, and then they play. And then they play, a couple of the big guns. Play the Eagles once, lose. Play the Bills, get smacked around. I mean, you lose to the Cardinals, and what was that, week 3 or 4? Like, Cardinals were terrible with Josh Dobbs. They got smacked around by the Cardinals. So when I saw all that stuff, y'all, I already knew it was a wash season. I already knew it was not y'all's year. It probably will never be y'all's year while Jerry Jones is still in full control of this team. So you're just going to have to, enjoy the ride, as they say at Kings Dominion. But the Jerry Jones ride is not the best ride you want to be on. So C- for me. Get your ass kicked by, like you said, team that wasn't supposed to be there. They somehow fought and chewed their way to that last wild card spot.
Mm-hmm.
And it was pretty much embarrassing. And I mean, we're gonna segue into looking forward. You didn't make any off-season moves because all your cap. You don't have any cap, number one, and you need to pay like 3 guys. You need to pay Dak. You need to pay CD. You need to pay Mike Parsons. And Jerry Jones is refusing to pay all 3 of them. So,
yep.
I mean, take it away, Lawrence. I mean, how does it look
I don't
next
think
year?
they made an off-season move besides like extending their long snapper.
Well, I guess who's their linebacker? He medically retired. That guy,
Van Der Esch.
Yeah, so I guess that's the second one.
Yeah. They brought in Eric. They brought in Eric Kendricks. That's something.
I guess.
I mean, Eric Kendricks died, but like you just said, it's all fairness to you. This is a team that did really good last year, and you did nothing to add to it.
Yes.
And so here's the thing. So you think that Bland is going to have an amazing season this coming season? He's not. That's one of those like fluke seasons, one of those seasons that happen. It's not going to happen again. He's not going to do that again. People realize he likes to jump on routes. Yep. So what's going to happen is wide receivers who run routes against him are not going to allow him to have routes that he gets jumped on. Well, the wide receiver is going to know going into the game that that's something that's going to be in the forefront of the quarterback's brain. So wide receivers that play against him are going to run smart routes and try to beat him with speed. They're going to do it the correct way. You're going to let Stephon Gilmore walk, but Bland, the reason why he was doing so well is because he was playing the slot most of the season. Now he's probably going to be playing the outside because Gilmore's gone. I don't think Stephon Gilmore had a bad season in the slightest. So, but no, the team has let people walk and has not signed anyone or extended anyone. Actually lost a little bit to their O-line as well. So I personally think the Cowboys will still do fine, like they somehow always do. They are going to shock us by taking a running back early. No one's going to expect it, but they're going to take a running back early. There's no offense. Ain't no way they're going to run into this season with Ross whatever his name is. His name's Ross. I know the coach's son, Deuce Vaughn, is there. They ain't going to ride with him either.
Yep.
Cowboys are going to go after a running back early. They're going to look at the Lions. I think they're going to look at it the same way as like the Lions, right? Okay, Lions got this stud running back, and he was able to lift their teams in multiple different points in the season. So, yeah, I think a lot of people are going to be disappointed in the Cowboys when they take a running back early.
I like that. I like that prediction right there. I was thinking receiver because
Jerry Jones likes his running back, so.
This is true. I was thinking receiver. I was thinking, they consistently just haven't had another guy opposite C.D. Lamb. Amari Cooper, that experiment didn't really work. He only really played at home games. So only showed up to home games, I should say. But yeah, I can see receiver. I don't know where they're picking. I'm assuming late in the first. They'll probably be a receiver that's supposed to go first round that falls that late might fall to them. But yeah, it's not looking good, y'all. If you're a Cowboys fan, especially, I mean, Dak, you gotta extend him. If not, you really gonna go with Trey Lance moving forward and Cooper Rush? Really?
No, you'll just figure something out.
We'll see. And you let your defensive coordinator walk, which I guess Jerry was okay with because someone had to take the blame for that disappointing playoff defeat. But yeah, I don't know. I'm skeptical. I know, like you said, they're still going to do good, but I winning the division good, I think that's something we'll have to talk about a little bit later after the draft. Moving
I think
on,
that's one of the disappointing things with the Cowboys. Even though we don't like them, they still somehow always do good. A big eye roll with that. They somehow always do good.
You hate to see it, guys. Next up, though, we got the Eagles. Came in second in the division. Also lost in the first round to Tampa Bay. Lost to Baker Mayfield. Started off amazing and then had an epic, I don't think we've ever seen one of these type of just end of the year slumps. I think they started 11-1 and then lost the last 5-6 games. So,
Right.
what would you grade their season, Lawrence?
I give like a. See, now this is the hard part, and I'm gonna give. They have to be a C- as well.
Yeah.
The first 12 games was a straight up. We're gonna go A-.
Yeah.
Because you did lose to the Jets, so that's a little of a rough one. You did lose to Zach Wilson, but Zach Wilson did have like a out of his mind game.
Yeah.
But outside of that, you blew it when it mattered most. You lost to an NFC South team in the playoffs. That's the biggest kicker.
Oh.
Yeah, I just give it a C-. I can't give it I can't give it better than the Cowboys. But I also can't give it much worse than the Cowboys because they both made it to the same point.
Yeah.
And it felt as if they both had equal. They were both equal in a sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm right there with you. They can't be better than the Cowboys, and it can't be much worse. I think C- is fair considering the hot start. But I think for them, the biggest thing was just injuries kept piling up. I know Jalen Hurts played through the season hurt. Their lineman was hurt. AJ Brown kind of being a diva in the locker room. We'll see how the situation unfolds off season. Haven't heard much from him, so maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that means he's, I don't know, figured out or fix whatever issue he had.
Well, they extended Smith, so we know Smith's not leaving.
Yep. Smith got 3 years, like 81 million, 57 guaranteed or something like that.
So he's not going anywhere.
So he's locked up through 2028 season, and they picked up his 5th-year option. So yeah, they got him locked up at least. Which is, I mean, if we think about it, that's a nice safety net. If somehow you do have to trade AJ Brown, they might, who knows, they might be in the same situation as the Bills where they have this guy who's being a diva. You just got to get rid of him because he's bringing the team down. So we might see something similar to that. And unlike the Bills, they have a backup plan, Devontae Smith. So I think they'll be fine if they have to move off of AJ Brown. But I think just injuries piled up and the weird switch of coordinators in the back half of the season. That was kind of weird. So I don't know. They just had number one, bad mojo, bad juju going on in the locker room, bad vibes overall. And then number two, I think Super Bowl hangover got to them where they're feeling good. Hey, we're gonna make it back to the Super Bowl. Yada yada yada. Played well first half of the season, first 2/3 of the season. 11-1, and then it just caught up with them. So, C- is very much deserved there. But looking forward, Lawrence, how do you feel like their season will go next season? Just off of what we got right now, their draft. I think they have a first round pick, so they're going to draft some players. But on their signings and stuff, how do you feel?
Well, I don't dislike any of their signings. I just feel like I mean, no offense to the Huff, but he was never a mainstay starter with the Jets. So you got rid of Reddick, who was a mainstay starter for Huff, which seems like a downgrade. And if you didn't pay him as much money as you did to Huff, I would have said it was a good move. But they still have a lot of pieces on the team. Bringing C.J. Gardner-Johnson back, that one just seems a little weird and wonky to me. Basically, mainly because what he said about the team once he left the team.
Yeah.
Now he's back on that team. Another thing is they extended Devontae Smith, which gives you kind of weird vibes about A.J. Brown. They didn't say anything or do anything about A.J. Brown. You haven't heard anything about A.J. Brown. I don't know all the mechanics of his contract or anything. I don't know if they already extended him, but based on how he was last season, he didn't seem happy. But I mean, dude, they're stacked in wide receiver. They're stacked in tight end. They're gonna be back. I think the one thing that falls apart on this team is the O-line. I think you're either gonna see, like I think I said it before, you're gonna see them beg Kelsey to come back at some point this season, whether it's at the very beginning or halfway through the season when there's a lot of injuries on the line. They're gonna be begging him to come back at some point. I have a high gut feeling about it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I looked up A.J. Brown's contract details, y'all. Looks like he's still signed technically through 2028, but those last 2 years are void, so they don't count. So basically, he's signed through 2026. Got some big cap numbers, so unless they further extend, that $30 million cap hit is going to hurt a lot. Actually, I guess it's $9 million, but yeah, so we'll see what they do with that situation there. I think they just have to have a good draft. Like you said, probably draft some linemen, defensive and offensive, and work on the secondary. Secondary was the big problem last year. I mean, when Mac Jones throw for over 300 when they played against them? You gotta fix the secondary. Secondary, big play Slay just isn't doing it. Yeah, you brought back CJ, but he ain't gonna help us so much. And Bradbury's still there, but yeah, they gotta fix all that stuff, bro.
I just think they got a lot of big names who, and no offense to their own, but they I just think the best word to put it is, I mean, they were big names. I mean, it's key word there was they were, like, it's past tense. They're not who they were. Like big play Slay, we said it constantly over time, multiple times. He just wasn't as good as he was in the past, and it's just age, and that's why he couldn't stay healthy the whole season. It's just age. You got old. He's getting old.
It's getting old. Nothing you can do about that. Can't fight Father Time. Also, I just want to know how they keep getting the money. Someday we have to do a deep dive into how they can keep signing guys
for certain teams.
Absorbent amounts of money. We really got to do a deep dive about that. Next up, we got the Commanders. Commanders, not so good season, right? But I guess the win out of that is you get the second pick. I guess quickly, let's grade their season. I'm gonna start with I guess a D+. They had I wouldn't say pretty high expectations, but I think the fan base here expected not like a quick turnaround, but okay, you get rid of Dan Snyder, you bring in who's a new guy? Now Leon says he's the Wizards guy. Who is the
Joe Harris?
Joe Harris. You bring in Joe Harris, Magic Johnson, that whole ownership group, and they expected new energy. Maybe get them a couple more wins, but yeah, that ain't happening. That ain't happening, bruh. What did they finish? 4-13. Started Sam Howell. He was playing well and then just hit a wall. Offensive line sucked. Honestly, Eric Bieniemy's offense just at times just didn't look right, bro. They didn't really run the ball. Sam Howell was leading the NFL in passing attempts and at one point passing yards, but he's also throwing a lot of picks and holds on to the ball too long. So just a lot of things going wrong for them. But you got the second pick.
I think that's the biggest thing for them is they got the second pick. The way Belemini was running his offense, is he still there this year?
Nah, Bieniemy is like the offensive coordinator for UCLA.
Well, I was gonna say that would have been a good pickup for them with Austin Eckler, the way he always wanted to throw to running back for some reason.
Yeah.
But that's no longer a thing. I still think the Austin Eckler pickup isn't a bad one. I think it's just a workhorse that you kind of really haven't had, and a running back besides Brian Johnson in a while. Because the problem with Gibson was always his fumbling.
Fumbles, yeah.
I think the only problem with this team is there's a lot of them. The O-line needs a lot of love, needs a lot of help.
Terrible.
I think defensively, you're gonna have to reevaluate some corners you got.
Yeah.
Forbes, I mean, he looked okay, but sometimes maybe the offseason is gonna help him, but sometimes he looked struggling. At least in linebacker.
He had picked on way too much.
Linebacker, you're going to be all right. That's the least your worries. You ain't got to worry about linebacker. And honestly, I think D-line, you're going to be fine as well. I don't think there's anything wrong with your D-line. I think you can get some low draft picks in D-line, and you can probably solve that. I think your mainstay at the beginning is quarterback.
Yep.
First and foremost. And then I think you're going to have to go O-line. I think your second pick or second round pick, you got to go O-line. If you're not going to go O-line, it has to be wide receiver. But, honestly, this team, what they did the offseason, the fact that they didn't go out and try to get another wide receiver for their up-and-coming quarterback is just sort of questioning. Yeah, I think Dotson's all right, too. I think Jamison Crowder is kind of towards the end of his career. I think he's a little older. Zach Ertz definitely was a good pickup for them for, a safety net quarterback. But Terry McLaurin, he gets double-teamed every time. I mean, you're not going to notice him out there half the time. But, you're going to throw him out there. But the defense, I think the defense, if the corners can take a step, I think the defense takes another step. I just think O-line needs a lot of love. That's what you're going to have to do. You might have to take second and third round picks in O-line. And they say this draft class is really deep in wide receiver. Hopefully you find some magic in the fourth or fifth round.
Yeah, definitely. I'm right there with you. Biggest needs are, I think, number 1, quarterback. Number 2, O-line. Number 3, secondary. They really got to fix that. Forbes, rookie, got picked on a lot last year. I think they let one of their good safeties go. They didn't pay him. So for whatever reason, because they had I think they had the second most cap space going into the season, and they just, I don't know, whoever the honchos are in Washington just didn't or wasn't willing to pay some of their guys. But I guess they know better than us, so we'll see how that works. But yeah, I think you gotta go quarterback. First pick, whether that's Jaden Daniels, Drake May. We'll talk about that more when the draft comes. But you gotta get one of those guys. I don't think you trade down because most likely you probably won't be as bad next year because you're not that far off. I think other teams will be worse than you next season. So I wouldn't risk, trading back and then, next year you're not as bad. So, when the quarterback draft isn't deep next year, it's pretty much only going to be Shador and I don't even know the second guy. I think there's one more guy that's going to be coveted, top quarterback prospects, but in a draft that's not as deep, you probably shouldn't trade back. Just take a chance at 2 and just go with the flow. You got 4 years, 4 or 5 years with that guy. You can see how you like him or not. But then go O-line. But if one of these receivers, if they fall late first, if I'm Washington, I think you trade back in to the first and get a receiver. That way you can get that fifth-year option. Now receiver will be the only spot where I would do that with, because I think O-lineman, like you said, you can get them in the second round. It's also a pretty good and deep offensive lineman group. So, and offensive linemen are kind of iffy, but I think with receiver, the way the contracts are going, bro, I think if one of these guys can fall late first, I think you just got to trade back, get them so you can potentially get that fifth-year option. Might save you, down the road. Let's see here. I think we got the Giants left. Good old NY Giants. Daniel Jones, he didn't finish last season. Then they
He needs an
had
O-line too.
he needs an O-line. They have to make a decision on if they're going to keep Daniel Jones or they're going to try and draft a quarterback. Rumors are they're looking into J.J. McCarthy. They got this Tommy DeVito, who played well at times, but I don't know if he's really a star material. But what would you grade their season, Lawrence? Letter grade wise.
I don't know. It's hard to grade this season. This was just everyone, and I do mean really everyone except for Barkley, was pretty much gone. I'd still give it a D, probably a D- because he was supposed to make the playoffs. I mean, talking about the season, there's not a lot to talk about. This team was just not relevant. I think Jalen Hyatt was someone on their team that they did not utilize at all at wide receiver. Complete speed, like complete dog and speed. He made Hendon Hooker pretty much that one season in Tennessee by just running completely fast down the field and getting underneath the ball. And we know Daniel Jones can sling the ball far, and did not see that at any point in time. The main reason, O-line couldn't hold up long enough to give him a chance to throw the ball deep. So there was no chance to throw the ball deep.
Yeah.
They haven't really done anything to expand their D-line. But I will say the Brian Burns pickup, I think the identity with the Giants has always been D-line. You always have a good D-line, always good in the defensive front, good linebackers. So I think they're just going to stay with that mentality. And there's nothing wrong with that. They're going to stay with the mentality of we're going to be strong up front, and we're going to figure it out on the back end. I think it was like the first time a team had started two cornerbacks that were rookies at the same time. They got cooked most of the season, but you come back with vengeance and you come back better. But if I'm them, Giants, don't even worry about drafting a quarterback. You don't need to worry about it. And due honesty, you don't need to worry about it. Because you can't get a quarterback this season. It's just not going to work. You can probably find someone who's going to hit the market next year if you have to replace Daniel Jones. You already saw what the head coach could do with him in one season when he was protected. So I think the Giants are going to be one of the first teams to take an O lineman. I don't think they have much of a choice. You have to take an O lineman if you're the Giants. Yes, you need wide receivers, but I think their need for wide receiver can be handled in the second round. The problem with your team, full-heartedly, is your O-line was just so bad that by like week 7, you had I forget his name. He literally came off the couch, and his Sunday night intro was off the couch.
Yeah,
he had just came off the couch. Like, you literally were having guys coming off the couch playing your O-line. You got to fix that one. That's the first thing you got to do. Because there's no point in drafting a quarterback if he's not even going to have more than 2 seconds to throw a ball. There's no point in having an awesome wide receiver like Jalen Hyatt if you can't even throw the ball up to him. You have pieces that can be used. They just can't be used because you don't have the biggest piece in the world. And the problem is you didn't have a single offensive lineman that was good. Like, none of them across the board were any good.
Yeah, I agree with you. Not good at all. That's why, Dan Jones got hurt to begin with, just running for his life. Huge regress from the previous year.
Tyrod Taylor got hurt too.
Yeah, so
they lost Daniel Jones, Tyrod Taylor, and they had the Italian guy out there just getting beat up. And the only reason they were just lucky he didn't go too.
Yeah, so across the board, just not good from the offensive line standpoint. Looks like they're trending towards fixing the defense first, which is fine. But like you said, the offensive line is the biggest priority. I can still see them going quarterback if Minnesota doesn't get ahead of them. I think if JJ falls to them, I think it's like a 50-50 chance. But that's the decision they'll have to make when it comes to it, if it comes to it. But looking forward, I think offensive line, you got to fix that. You got to decide the future of Daniel Jones. Do you give him one more year? Do you move on? Do you draft a quarterback and still give him a year, or how's that situation going to
Well,
develop?
in my opinion, this is all just point. I'll put it out there. If they're gonna get JJ McCarthy, you have to trade Daniel Jones.
Oh,
There is no keeping Daniel Jones once you grab McCarthy, because once you grab McCarthy, that's pretty much you're putting it into your future. And if I'm Daniel Jones, I'm not gonna play. Like I'm just you just threw me away like it was nothing. I think the whole premise of drafting picking up Drew Lock was to have a backup. Like that's the point of Drew Lock was to have a backup in place for Daniel Jones. But if you get JJ McCarthy, there's no reason you're going to run into the next season with Daniel Jones, JJ McCarthy, and Drew Lock. And I think Drew Lock is a good enough quarterback to be a bridge quarterback. I think Drew Lock could start 6, 7, 8 games, maybe a whole season if that's what you need him to do.
yeah.
Just so that JJ McCarthy doesn't, or we're gonna send Drew Lock out there to get beat up for 6 games, and he'll die by the end of 6 games because the O line is so bad, and then JJ McCarthy will be forced to go out there and figure it out. But either way, if you get a quarterback first round, you only do it knowing that you're trading Daniel Jones, and honestly, you're probably going to see Daniel Jones traded like the day after the first round for like a 4th and a 5th or a 5th and a 6th. Maybe a 4th and a 5th, someone is being generous, but a 5th and a 6th, because no one's going to give it to you because they already know that you already moved off. Like
you're moved off. You're trying to get rid of them, so the price is going to go down. Yeah, I could definitely see that. Definitely could see that. That's the New York Giants, and that's the NFC East. Compared to the
most exciting, I think the most exciting one, unfortunately, is the Eagles, because I think it's one of those. It's the coach is gone if he doesn't make it to the playoffs. Completely gone if he doesn't make it to the playoffs. And then he's on a hot seat if he goes out first round in a bad blowout like the Cowboys did.
Yeah, Nick Sirianni, he is on the hot seat. His job is on the line. So is Mike McCarthy, but I think no matter what, unless they make the NFC Championship game, I think he's pretty much gone. So
he's pretty much gone.
Yeah, so those are the 2 teams we gotta really keep our eyes on. But NFC East, we're gonna move on to some NBA play-in action, y'all. It's about to start tomorrow, so we'll have those games up and ready to preview NBA action. We got some play-in. I think the West plays Tuesday, the East plays Wednesday, and then the winner the loser of 7-8, and then the winner of 9-10 will play. I'm assuming Thursday, Friday, or maybe just Thursday. Who knows? But we'll be able to preview Tuesdays and Wednesdays game. Friday's game looks like we will have to wait probably until. I guess we won't even know Wednesday, so we probably won't even get a chance to preview the last playing games. But we'll at least give you guys Tuesday and Wednesday, and then on Wednesday we'll preview the whole playoffs because we'll definitely know 2-7 matchups. We'll know 3 6s, and we'll know 4 5. So we'll preview most of the playoffs. But anyway, first game we got the Lake Show, Goat James versus the Pelicans. B.I. came back last game, but he was on minutes restriction. Didn't really matter, though. They got their ass kicked pretty handily. Now the Lakers are in a bit of a predicament. Thunder are the number 1 seed. They secured that with a win on Sunday. So if they lose, they would play the winner of 9-10 to potentially get the 8th spot. Lakers this season have played better against the Thunder than they have their number 2 seed, which the Nuggies. Nuggies are number 2. Had a chance to secure number 1, but I think they lost to the Spurs. What was that, like Friday or something? So Lakers are a bit of a predicament. Honestly, Lakers should win this game, but some funny things might happen. I mean, look at the line. It's pretty much even.
After that beatdown they just got.
Yeah, Vegas is pretty much pretty suspicious of this game as well. In terms of betting wise, I probably wouldn't touch spreads or money lines because I don't know what the Lakers are going to do. Lakers could easily win this game, but then again, they might take their chance and might just have an off night, so they don't have to face the Nuggets first round. I don't really know, to be honest. So, what do you think, Lawrence? Who do you think is going to pull this one off?
I think the biggest difference in the game this time around is going to be BI is going to play more. And the biggest thing I think that I thought it was a scam. I thought it was a scummy move, mainly because I wasn't on the right side of it. I didn't bet it. I'm not going to say I bet it because I didn't bet it. But if I had known what they were going to do at Valanciunas, oh, man, I would have put unders on everything in Valanciunas. I mean, they purposely put him out there for 5 minutes.
What?
So he could... Yeah, so Valanciunas played 5 minutes in the game, so that way Valanciunas could have played 82 minutes, or 82 games all season. So Valanciunas played 82 out of 82. But if you go back to the game log for the last game they played, just pull it up, Valanciunas played 5 minutes. So I think that's the biggest difference. I think the Pelicans didn't show the Lakers their whole hand. And I think that's what's going to end up being the difference in this one is the Lakers know how to beat the Pelicans. I think what's going to come down to is Pelicans are going to want to avoid the Warriors. He played 7 minutes.
7.
Same
He was close enough.
But dude, he had 2 points. I'm pretty sure until the fourth quarter he didn't play. He played 1 minute in the first half, and I don't think he came back until 6 minutes left. And I think what the Pelicans did in the last 6 minutes was run a trial run of how to beat the Lakers. Like, okay, so here's how we're gonna line up. And they were practicing different things because they were getting ready for the game today tomorrow. And that's what I'm going back to is I'm going to take the Pelicans. I think the Pelicans are going to win. Just straight up outright. Well, am I going to bet it? No, because I think the Lakers could easily win. I think the Lakers should win. I don't think the home field advantage for the Pelicans is going to do a whole lot. I just think that the Lakers know that they can handle the Warriors or the Kings at home. I think they're a little bit more skittish of the Kings just because of their pace, because they're older and less fast than the Kings. And I know in a 1v1, I know the Lakers are not worried about the Warriors at all at home. But the Pelicans, love it or not, I think their biggest thing is we don't want to even we don't have anything to do with it. Because I think the Pelicans, they beat the Kings 5 times in one season. At some point, they're going to beat you. And you don't want that to be the play-in. You don't want that to be the 8-9 matchup. The Kings can't lose, but so many against you.
Yeah.
So they probably don't want to play the Kings. The Warriors have a lot of experience. They probably don't want that matchup. So they're probably going to try to take the Lakers out. And like you just said, and like I believe as well, I think the Lakers are going to try to take a smarter route here. And I think the Lakers are probably going to try to take their chance at whoever they get. For the second round, or not second round, the second play-in game. I mean, I don't quote us though, because we're putting asterisks on this game. There could be some fishy things going down. The Lakers should be able to take care of them. I think a good bet for this one may or may not just be the under. I mean, I think that might be the best bet. Is just take the under. Is it 228 or is it 220? I can't read that.
223. Yeah.
Yeah. The under. I think under is pretty safe in that one. There's gonna be a lot of defense going back and forth. There's gonna be. I'm gonna say there's a lot of nerves going back and forth.
Yeah, I think under is if you're gonna make a bet like that, under is probably maybe the way to go. There's gonna be defense being in the playoffs. Defense ramps up. scoring goes down. So even though Lakers haven't been that good on defense this year, they're going to pick it up come play in. So with same with the Pelicans. I think the Pelicans actually improve year over year on the defensive side. So and they'll definitely hold the Lakers to a lower score. But if the Lakers, somehow, some way, if they get down early, 15, 18 points, they're going to take their foot off the gas and they're just going to concede. So I'm just going to put that out there. But Lakers, after the ass whooping they gave them on Sunday, they should have easily been super favorited. But I mean, you see it right there, folks. They are not. So very fishy game. But there's another game we got to talk about. Warriors Kings. We're playing Sacramento. So that means the Kings are number 9, Warriors are 10, just sneaking into the play-in. Pretty disappointing season for the Warriors. They made some moves, got rid of Jordan Poole, brought in Chris Paul. Thought that would help, but looks like it didn't really make much of a difference. Lawrence, who do you got in this one?
Warriors.
Oh, what about Keegan Murray?
I'm a big Kings fan and all, but the Warriors are hotter than the Kings are right now. The Kings,
I agree.
They just kind of fell apart towards the end of the season. A lot of injuries.
Yeah.
I think it's time to, there's some pieces there that were really good for you. I think it's time to move off. I don't know. I'm still a little iffy on whether or not Harrison Barnes is a good move off piece. If they could convince Harrison Barnes to take a pay cut and come off the bench, I think that's probably for the best. Whether or not he'll do that, I don't know. But I think that's the biggest weakness in the hole in the team. No. They need a center. Sabonis would be a great power forward. I think they just need a legitimate 5-piece on that team.
Yeah. For me, I don't know because the Warriors have been playing well, but the Kings, they're at home. They're going to want to light the beam. They lost to the Warriors last playoffs in the first round matchup. Went to 7 games, but they, ended up losing to the Warriors in Game 7. I think the Warriors blew them out in Game 7, right? If I'm not mistaken. But so I think it's revenge time. I think, they don't have Monk, they don't have Horter, but I think, they still got Keegan Murray, they still got Fox. I think they still have enough firepower to get this one done. So I'm going to go Kings. I think Kings at home. Warriors, they've been hot, but Warriors are kind of, they're going to need a good game from Clay. I think Clay is the X factor here. If Clay off the bench just gives you like 10, that's not enough. Clay needs to have, 20 points off the bench, 5 threes. Draymond needs to have like a double-double. Steph needs to have like 30. Like, there's a lot of things that needs to happen for the Warriors to win. I feel like for the Kings, Fox and Sabonis just have to have like the usual great game. Like, I don't think there's not an X factor if we look at the Kings. They just have to play their game, and I feel like they'll be fine. But with the Warriors, I feel like there's too many X factors.
I think the opposite happens in this game, though. I think for this game it's the over. I don't think the under hits in this one. I think these two teams they don't care about defense. They just only care about scoring. And if the Warriors want to beat the Kings, it's going to be putting up major points.
Yeah.
And vice versa. The Kings know, like, they're just going to do what they do, and that is score points.
Yeah, easily could see this one going over. Kings have firepower, so do the Warriors. Steve Kerr versus Mike Brown. Mike Brown was on Steve Kerr's coaching staff not too long ago. Now they're facing each other in the playoffs. It'll be a great game for sure. But we're going to move on to the East, y'all. East plays on Wednesday. In the first game, my Heatles, of course, going against Philly. In Philly, Miami is the 8th seed. Who do I think is going to win this one? I think this is another fishy game. Part of me wants to believe that Miami is going to win this one. Joel Embiid, he's been in and out the lineup ever since he's came back. We'll see if he'll be able to, put a full game together. But Miami's just been up and down. Yeah, they took care of business the past couple of games, beating Toronto, taking care of business, trying to move up in the standings if, some teams lost like Orlando and Indiana, but didn't happen. But I could also see Miami just not bringing it and then just saying, hey, we have a game on Friday, kind of like they did last year where they were kind of like, we don't need to win. We can just win on our home floor. So I think I want to say the same things that last year happened is going to happen here, but I got Miami. I got Miami with a win in Philly. I think I don't think they want to play Boston first round, but they will. They have to. But I think if they win, they play New York. I think we're just slapping New York around. I don't think New York has enough to hang with us.
Oh well. I don't know anything about the Heat. I know you guys are injured to high hell as well.
Scary Terry's hurt. I'm pretty sure that's it.
I thought Hero was gone too. I didn't know what his status was.
Hero's been playing. He's been playing.
I thought Duncan Robinson was out as well.
Him and Caleb have been out. Looks like their game time decision for Wednesday. So I mean, they're probably going to play. They're probably going to try and play.
I'm going to take 76ers, and I'm not going to think too much about it. I'm just going to go with 76ers. I think 76ers are. I'm not even going to think about it. I think 76ers. There's nothing about it. They're at home. They're going to win.
Simple reasoning. I like it.
I think the Heat would rather play Boston anyways. I think the Heat's mentality has always kind of been, we don't care who you are, we'll take you out. I think 76ers are kind of a little bit different. I think they'd rather go through New York. I think they'd rather take on a second, third seed team, especially one that may or may not be the Magic. I think Magic are third seed. Was that not right?
Well, Magic is locked in a 4-5 matchup. Bucks are 3, so Bucks are playing the Pacers. So if whoever loses is going to play the Celtics, basically. So because I don't think whoever loses this game is going to lose to Atlanta or Chicago. If they do, that's a damn shame.
Yeah, well, Atlanta and Chicago. I mean, I had this conversation with someone before. The East doesn't even deserve to have a play-in, pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, the bottom teams are just bad. I mean, Sixers, Miami has some injury troubles, but they can make runs. But those 9 and 10 matchup teams, they ain't it, Chief. They ain't it. Speaking of them, Hawks Bulls playing in Chicago. Trae Young is back. They do have some other injuries though. Conwoo's out. Jalen Johnson is out. So their good rookie, he's out. And they got some game time decisions on the Bulls side. Looks like Drummond and Dusamu game time decisions as well. Julian Phillips as well. Who do you got in this one, Lawrence?
I'm going to take the Hawkies.
Okay, fair enough. Hawks been playing well. Bulls also. They went to overtime. Sunday against the Knicks. This game's on Wednesday, so they'll definitely be recovered by then. I think this one's a toss-up. I honestly could see it going either way, but if I had to pick, I would go Hawks. I think the Hawks will just have enough firepower to outscore the Bulls. I don't think they have enough firepower unless DeMar goes off for like 30. I don't think they have enough firepower to go toe for toe with the Hawks. But
I'm only taking the Hawks because it's Shaq.
Big Shaq. Caw. Calling for Trae Young, of course. Yeah, that's it. That's all the playing games we can cover for now. Any last thoughts before we head on out? You want to recap UFC? I know some of your bets hit, like Holloway. You did say put money on Holloway.
I told you to put the bank on Holloway. I told you to put the bank on Holloway. Now, I don't need to recap UFC. I mean, main event was disappointing.
Yes.
Honestly, the women should have been the main event. That they had an amazing fight. The scorecard's not going to say their fight was amazing, but the champion in the third and fourth round was spooked. Well, that's just pretty much all you have to say. She came out knowing that she was on the line in the fifth round, but in reality, it shouldn't even gone to the fifth round because the challenger Jan, she was knocked out, like she was passed out.
Yeah, I saw that.
when she was out cold, and then they were on the sidelines and they were talking about whether or not what they could or couldn't do. Because the cut man said, "I can wake her up, I can wake her up," and they thought that he was talking about putting smelling salts in her nose. No, this man shoved an ice cube over her nose.
Oh God!
Yeah, he shoved 2 ice cubes up both her nostrils and woke her ass up. And it worked because she came out second round, looked a lot better. Third round, she won the third round. Fourth round, it was a little bit either way. Could have gone either way. Champ won fifth round. They gave it pretty much 4-1 rounds to Champ. Like I said, it could have gone either way. They just didn't allow it to go either way. But no, fight of the night, 1,000% was Max Holloway versus Justin Gaethje. Last second knockout. I told the group chat not to fade Max Holloway. I told everyone that ever asked me, Max Holloway all day, all night, every day, all day, baby. And I only had a few riders with me. I had some few faders with me. The faders got what the faders got. Never take Justin Gaethje over Max Holloway, baby. Max Holloway's just built different. I mean, if you look at Max Holloway's career, he's pretty much only lost to 2 people the entire time. Max Holloway's only ever lost to Dustin Poirier and Alex Volkanovski. Yeah, he's lost to a few others, but he's lost to Dustin twice, and he's lost to Volkanovski 3 times. There's just the fact that Volkanovski has his number. Max Holloway doesn't have anything. He doesn't have anything for him. I think if he fought Volk now, which he won't because he's already fought him 3 times, they're not going to do it again. But if he fought him now, he would beat him. Mainly because I think Volkanovski now has a chin that can be broken. I think before he had a chin that couldn't be broken. He got his chin broke, and once you get your chin broke, it never comes back. But Max Holloway, he's just built different. I mean, he looked really good. No offense, he looked really good in light heavyweight. So honestly, if Max Holloway wanted to stay at light heavyweight, I think that'd be fun. I think the one thing Max Holloway has to do is get better at his leg kicks.
His leg was fucked up. It looked awful. Ugh.
Mm-hmm. But
yeah,
if he can figure out how to take less leg kicks, or not even just less leg kicks, he needs to dish out more leg kicks, and he needs to counter with more leg kicks. And then what was it, Armin? I mean, I thought that was fight of the night up until Max Holloway.
Yeah.
That Armin fight had everything. It had everything.
I would agree. I agree 100%. Great card overall. Prelims were good. The main event was good. Besides this little dud of a main event right there, but the women put on a show, so I guess that kind of made up for it. All right, y'all. We're gonna head on out. NTL Sports Podcast, episode 86. We'll see you guys on Thursday. We're out.
Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're giving me